Hi, welcome to Catch a Fire TV, where we are all about igniting your life's passion, purpose, and profession. I'm your host, Mina Grace Drake, and in this episode of This Woman's Work, we are joined by my favorite public speaking coach, Uma Maedke with Spotlight Speaking. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Mina. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to our conversation because lately I've been obsessed with the voice. You know, my voice in particular, just, you know, as a writer more and doing shows like this, I'm like, okay, really, what does my voice sound like, both physically and beyond the physical? So I've been looking forward to talking to you to get your perspective on how do you define the voice, like both the literal voice and then the voice with like a capital V.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I actually started my journey with the voice as a singing coach.
Okay.
And I started singing opera when I was 15, and I've studied opera for 19 years and helped people for 13 years really just find their physical voices. And what I found is when people found their physical voice, they actually found their internal voice as well. So not only were they able to sing on stage and act on stage, but they were able to even be more confident in normal life and really feel like they can say yes or say no when they need to, and really feel like they know who they are. And so now I help women entrepreneurs find their voices and really be able to share them on stage in the realm of public speaking. And it's just a joy to help people connect to that part of themselves.
And I've just had the privilege of seeing you on stage, you know, numerous times now, and you just own that space so gracefully. So I know that the work that you're doing, it comes from your own ability, and I'm sure the work that you did to be able to stand in that spotlight and own it, and now you're sharing that with other women. So that's awesome that your work has taken you there.
Thank you. I mean, actually, I was really shy when I was a kid. I was super shy, and it took a lot of kind of studying and really opening to my inner calling to be able to get up on stage. When I was a kid, I was a victim of physical abuse as a child, and so I was really in that victim mentality and just had low self-esteem. I had this dream to be on stage and to be an actress and a singer. And so even though I was so shy and I could hardly, whenever I would go for an audition, I would just be like so nervous, I'd be shaking, and I would just have a little squeak come out when I would go to sing my song. I just had this dream, and I just had the opportunity to leave my home environment that was hard, was really abusive, and through different learning processes and techniques, I was able to get on stage and to learn how to be really confident and shine on stage. So I really think the ability to share your own voice is so important, because you're really contributing to other people when you do that. When you share your story, whether it's your personal story or what you're sharing with your entrepreneurship and your business, the more that we can share and really connect with others, the more we'll be able to find our voices and others can learn too.
And the question that comes to mind in this conversation is, like, who's the woman that you had to become to be able to take your place on stage and say, I have something to say, I have something to sing, of all things. So you like took it to another level. It's one thing to stand on stage and give a speech or share your story, but another thing to share your art in that way. Like, who did you have to become in the process to where you are today?
I would say that my mission and my message had to become bigger than my fears. So, you know, even though I had so much fear, I really felt I had something to share. I had to become more willing to make a fool of myself once in a while, and being willing to get up there and share for the sake of other people. So it wasn't just for myself alone. It was for really being committed and dedicated to my message. You know, the thing about performing, whether it's speaking or singing, is the more you do it, the more it gets easier. So even if it's just a little, like maybe speaking in front of 3 people first, and you're so scared but you do it anyway, but then you try 5 people, and then you try 8 people, and really just allowing yourself to take those small steps and not expecting yourself to go from A to Z, but really just go from A to B to C, and just really being patient and kind with yourself. And I think I had to be just really own my courageousness and and I just saw that when I was able to share my message, that really opened a space for other women to share their messages too.
I'm hearing so many different things that I think are so valuable that you're sharing with us. You know, commitment. I mean, that just so resonates with me because it does require a commitment to show up in that way. And another point that I'm really glad that you touched on is sometimes you can have this bigger vision of like, someday I see myself speaking in front of tens of thousands of people, but it literally starts with those 3 people in the room, you know, and building and faking it to make it. Even with those 3, that in and of itself can be intimidating.
Absolutely.
So just honoring the process and going back to the commitment and the vision and the call being bigger than us, that we can't not step up. You mentioned before about how it's actually to be of service, to allow yourself to be seen. You know, I would love for you to go a little deeper into that and tell us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that idea of being seen, I mean, it's, I really love this kind of dichotomy of seeing others and being seen. And I really see that as being able to give to others. So when you see somebody, it can be just the best gift that you give someone. When you give someone the gift of your presence, it can be really the best gift. And so that's really seeing somebody. And then to be seen is really to receive. And as women, often we're really good at giving, but not necessarily good at receiving. So really being able to stand up on stage and be open and say, I'm going to let you see me, I'm going to let you see my brilliance, and allow people in. So instead of closing off and getting tense, and it's so natural for us to kind of close in and kind of contract, to just relax and to really understand how to open your body and open your heart, so that when you're up on stage, that you're really letting people into your field, and that you're inviting. So you're receiving their gaze at the same time that you're giving. So I mean, this can be related to so many places in our lives, right? Giving and receiving, and having that balance. So I think it's really important to cultivate a balance of giving, seeing others, and being seen.
It's really interesting because I'm so present these days to vulnerability and how much that's so required to really make that connection. And that's part of standing in our power in some way, you know, that vulnerability. And so with that, even like, I don't know, it's really interesting, especially for us women, like accepting a compliment, or, you know, to ask for acknowledgement in some way. It never ceases to surprise me how like uncomfortable I can get. And I feel times I could be a pretty confident person and like own my place in the world, but those things of like shining the proverbial spotlight, I'm like, so where do you think that comes from?
I think personally, I think it's somewhere along the line where children, we learned it wasn't safe to be seen. And so we put up walls to defend ourselves. And I think it's a very natural defense mechanism when we're a child, especially if we grow up among any violence or abuse. And we just learn as children sometimes to just, it's safer to be invisible. And so, and sometimes we're not encouraged to really think well of ourselves and really have a healthy self-esteem. So as adults, we have the opportunity to really cultivate our self-esteem and to really acknowledge ourselves for the amazing women we are. I mean, so often we go through our lives and we don't even acknowledge what we've come through and what journey has brought us to this moment. And so it's important to really acknowledge yourself and know that there's a way to be safe to be seen. So there's a way to be vulnerable. I love that you talked about that, Nina, that there's a way to be vulnerable and safe. And there's a way that you can create that safety on stage or when you're speaking in front of a group. And part of that stems from really knowing who you are and really knowing all your accomplishments and really be able to praise yourself and really value yourself.
Like you've had your own journey, and it sounds like you've been able to intertwine the parts that maybe it seemed like at a time would be more beneficial to like leave beside, you know, like the abuse that you endured, you know, as a child. And now it just seems like such a point of strength, you know, it's like you don't hide away from that, but it's part of your ability to step up and be seen. I think women who are just now coming into the space, like newly starting a business, newly stepping out and reinventing themselves for greater authenticity, you know, can you talk more about bringing all of yourself to the stage of life, you know, and the platform that, you know, we can share a message from?
Beautiful. Yeah, I would say that, you know, when I was living in that situation where I was being abused, you know, it took it took a lot for me to really start to be able to heal from that, and part of that was forgiveness. So really looking at myself and forgiving myself, and eventually forgiving the people that were involved, you know, in the abuse. And you know, now I can look back. It was a horrible thing that happened, but I'm also grateful for it because I can see the gift in it. I can see how I learned compassion through that forgiveness process for myself and for others. So I would say that to really show up in service in your business or in your life is to really be willing to look at yourself and really being willing to forgive. So forgiveness and kind of opening is a big part of my work with people. Not only do I teach the performance practice, so really how to get up on stage, how to walk, how to hold a microphone, how to stand, how to put a speech together, all the preparation, but really just how to kind of drop in and be centered in your being. So I think the inner work, and then also the outer work is important. So the inner work of forgiveness and acknowledging yourself for what you've been through and really healing, but then the outer work of how do I now take what's inside of me and bring it out, which I just love teaching people how to do.
Yeah, that's great. And I so appreciate that you bring forgiveness into your work. It totally makes sense. And from my experience, I find the unforgiveness to be the blessing blocker. I just find it to be like the big rock in the dam that stops the flow. And so to hear that you, I mean, again, it makes so much sense that you're bringing that into the work that you're doing, and it's so valuable and so critical. So I'm really excited to even more so share your work with the audience, because it's everything. Forgiveness, I've learned, is everything. So I'd love to hear more about, you know, what you're up to these days, and like what kind of work that you're focused on, and who you're helping.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so passionate helping women entrepreneurs being able to get up there and create a speech and deliver the speech and connect with their audience and really be able to gain more clients that resonate with them. So I just really love helping people share their message in the world, but also make a living doing it, and be able to create income by helping others. So really make an impact that they want and the income that they deserve. I actually have a website.
Yes,
that it's called spotlightspeaking.com. So it's the word spotlight and then speaking.com. And
we'll put that right there.
and actually, you can go to that website, and I have a free video there for you.
Oh, great.
So you can actually go and get a free training video. And really, it's about connecting with your audience on video or on stage, so that you can truly serve and gain the clients that you want. So, so public speaking, I think, is a really great way to be able to connect with a lot of people at one time, but also it really positions you to as an expert. It positions you as somebody who's willing to be seen, and it can really create a lot of energy movement, I think, in business.
I was really looking forward to introducing you, because you've just had such a beautiful path that you've walked along, and now you're rallying a community of wonderful, powerful women. So
thank you, Nina. It's been such a pleasure to be here with you, and just I so admire you for what you bring to women, how you serve, and just really allow yourself to be vulnerable and present, and you're such a leader, and I just so appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. And we appreciate you guys joining us today for this conversation. So until we see you next time, thanks for watching This Woman's Work.